Okay, let's do some sound check.
Okay.
Check, check.
Not showing up on.
It's not?
Nope.
At all?
Nope.
Okay,
Only
good.
on
I
Alright,
don't have
good.
to tell them not to do it. Must be too low.
Yeah. Last live 9.
You know what? That's a worthy. I now have to do that every time I ever hear that sound in my house.
Right?
I'll be in the garage out back. I'll like.
Hello, everybody. We're just doing some
So,
some sound
Sim,
checks before we get started.
where are you
here.
from?
Arkansas.
I'm originally,
Arizona,
Or-
Philadelphia.
Sorry. Okay.
yes,
Where you living?
I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I live in Arizona.
Oh, okay, cool. Where do you? I've been to
really
like
know.
Phoenix, but I've been to like.
I'm about half hour or so south of Phoenix.
Okay, cool. Because I've been to like Glendale, Scottsdale, Tempe.
Yep. I went to college in Tempe, so.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Tempe's
Tempe's a fun town if you know your way around there.
yeah, it's got Glendale. I was at a liquor store in Glendale and I ran into some crazy voodoo lady.
Oh, that sounds about right.
Oh yeah, like I was in there and I walked in
Glendale.
and this lady was like, "Oh, I don't like it when people pretend to be disabled." And I'm like, I'm blind. I'm like fully blind." She's like, "Don't lie to me." And I'm like, "No, like here's my card. I'm blind." And she's like,
Oh yeah,
"Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna pray for you." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Keep walking by, and then all of a sudden, just, and I'm like, "Holy!" And she runs out of the building, and I'm like, "What the hell?" I go to the guy like at the till. I'm like, "Did she like fall or hurt herself?" And she's like, "Oh no, she's one of them voodoo ladies. She's praying for you. She's praying the demons out." And
Oh yeah.
we got our liquor, walked out. She was running around the parking lot, eyes rolling back in her head, screaming. Like
That sounds like some of the areas of Glendale I've been to.
yeah, it was. I'd never experienced that until I went to Arizona. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So depending on the area, because the towns are so big, like the different areas of like Glendale or Tempe, there are areas you do not want to go to because
Yeah.
you'll run into people like that.
It was. Well, the other thing that was really nice about Arizona is.
All right.
Oh.
We're live. Have been. Our audio's
hold on.
checked.
Let
We're
me
good
check
to
the
begin.
video.
I already checked.
Video?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
Video.
TikTok, like on the.
On there, yeah. Also, it only sends to Twitch what I have on my screen. A one-to-one of exactly
But
what's
he
on my
told
screen.
us that about sound, and
And it also tells me what's going on with sound. So
When
except
he
for
looks
when
at
they
it.
call us in the middle of
When-
chat, they're like, "No sound, by the way."
right, but it's always showing that in Streamlabs. I just haven't checked it is the problem. So, welcome
Hi.
everybody. This is our once monthly-ish adventure talks, where we chat about D&D and wherever the wind takes us, and have on special guests. This week we have the wonderful Symyro joining us. We've actually hung out with Symyro a bit on over. Oh yeah, you do get him over there. Nice. Dan, you want to take us away with our announcements?
Awesome. So this is Adventure Corp. If you're new, if you've been around here a long time, hi. That's awesome. We're primarily a D&D stream, so we do D&D 5th Edition long-form campaigns every Wednesday from 6 to 10 Mountain Standard Time. We also do this Adventure Talks, like we said, once a month, typically near the end for an hour. And then on Mondays, we do another stream, me and Alex, which is usually just Alex and Dan do stuff. So sometimes we play games, D&D adjacent or other games. Sometimes we do class builds. Sometimes we do Unearthed Arcana reviews. Like recently we just reviewed the new D&D 1 rules that are coming out for the new Player's Handbook and stuff for 2024. So if any of those things are cool to you, feel free to check us out. We have our link tree. We have YouTube, Discord, Twitch, Facebook, all that stuff. Also, check out the Discord. We're trying to grow it. We're trying to make it more of a community for people that love D&D and D&D adjacent things. So,
Also, you might notice the art randomly appearing at the bottom of the screen. That is the lovely
Not me.
Runa.
Not me.
She's making some art for our adventure talks.
It's pre-recorded. Runa's just sitting around.
Promise nothing. It's kind of an ugly song.
Symyro, do you want to go ahead and give a quick plug for your channel? And who
Sure.
you are?
My name is Symyro, or Chris, if you would like to call me that. I stream a bunch of different things. I'm a variety streamer. I do my own D&D campaign with my friends, Kassir87 and Just Fluffy Panda. We've done quite a few different tabletop campaigns. We're nearing the end of our D&D run now, but yeah, you can find me over at twitch.tv/Symyro.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Also, quick note for anybody, as we said last time, if you notice a little bit of the doubling in Symyro's audio, that is an unfortunate reality of our setup, having us all at the table and him virtual. We're doing our best to keep it down, but we do have a bit of a noise gate, which might cut us out occasionally, or we might get the occasional dubbing. Symyro, we've done our best. This is what we got.
Until we all have headphones, and it's a work in progress. Just mentioning that quick, Sim. You also you play some other games on stream and stuff too, like I know you play some video games. So
Saturdays are usually Overwatch nights. Everyone's welcome to join me when I do that. Thursdays I usually play Marvel's Avengers with some friends, and then Mondays are kind of my solo game nights where I'll play through single player games. The one I'm playing right now, the one I'm playing right now is Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy.
Oh, great
Older
game.
one, but I loved it when I was younger, and I figured why not do a new playthrough on stream.
Yep.
Yeah, very good.
It's a good game. I have a quick question for you before we kind of get. You said you have do you run a two like DM and 2 players?
So the three me, Kassir, and Panda are the only ones that stream. Kassir is our DM, and Kassir's been running campaigns for I think since like D&D 2nd edition.
Okay.
Panda's another one of the players, and then also part of our group that rotate in and out depending on the week if they can make it. We've got Des, one of my mods, and her sister Bones, and we also have another one of my longtime friends, Chris Costi, that joins.
Okay, so you got 5
we
players
have
and a DM.
5 players, 1 DM.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. The reason it came up for me is we started this stream originally as me, Isaac, and Alex, and the reason I wanted to bring it up is there was some real benefits to a 2-person stream.
So I have done those kinds of campaigns before when I first started.
Yeah.
It was just Kassir, me, and Cress.
Okay.
We were the only ones doing it, and then slowly we gained more players.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my comment was there was some benefits to it, but we found over time that there was also some shortfalls, and just overall I felt like to have a more rounded game, it's that 3 to 5 player mark.
I think
is better almost.
I think campaign length. It gets hard to run a really long campaign with only a couple players.
Yeah.
You figure out your characters and you kind of do the things that are interesting with those characters, and then it's like, well, we have 10 more levels.
Yeah. Well, and we started off as a thief campaign, so we did lots of thief and stealing, and that quickly became. We by about level 10 we had done just about everything you could do in thief and stealing without getting into like the craziness.
Yeah.
So
I had some epic level thievery planned, but then there's like all the levels in the middle where it's like, how many mansions do we break into?
Yeah, to make more rounded content, you had to like expand out into adventuring and just an interesting
shorter
thought.
campaigns, right?
Yes,
like have just little these 2 people go and do this for 5 levels, and then we.
And you could have a great thief campaign starting at like level 6 and running maybe to 12. You'd get all your fun. You'd get some higher level content, and then you'd move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
And I actually might run some short. I don't know that they'll all be long form. There'll probably be plenty of long form because that's where I tend to towards.
Yeah.
Symyro, I wanted to get your origin story.
Yes. So, originally, and this is where the name Symyro comes from, this is where the branding of the Tuscan Raiders and my little Bantha friend Charlie here, come from? So, geez, when was it? 11 years ago now. Right about 11 years ago. EA released Star Wars: The Old Republic, an MMO. And me being a Star Wars fan, I'm like, hey, yeah, let me get into this. Let me start playing. Well, I bounced around a little, different characters, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and eventually I settled on my main character being a Sith sorcerer named Symyro. And about a year into the game, they made moddable gear a thing where you didn't have to wear like the specific gear pieces that they gave you, but you could still get the bonuses. So I ended up dressed like my main character dressed as a Tusken Raider from Star Wars from like late 2012 to today. Like he's been dressed the same the entire time. And when I started going to different online things, I just kept the name Symyro because that's what I'd been known as like online for years at that point. And when I started the Twitch, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do the branding around? And it just kind of felt natural to fall into like the Tusken Raider and everything, considering, you know, how long it had been a part of like my online persona.
Have you actually played any of that game with that persona on stream?
Several times. Usually when there's, and I'm talking like major updates when they release new story content and everything, I'll run through the new story content on Sim.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. I also want your D&D origin story. What got you into D&D?
So the first tabletop I ever did was a Star Wars campaign. My DM Kassir kept trying to get a bunch of us from the guild to do tabletops for years. And the only other one that did anything like that to that point was Crest. And I just said one of those times, like, okay, if you can find like a Star Wars or something, introduce me to tabletop role playing, I'll run a campaign. It was very like short form campaign because, like you mentioned earlier, DMing two players, it's great for getting you up to a certain level and experiencing certain things, but after a while you start kind of running out of stuff to do.
Mm-hmm. And just the role play with two people is tough sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough. So we went through, I think, 2 different attempted Star Wars campaigns that we actually did get fairly far in one of them and then had to stop because of real life stuff. Then I got talking with one of my friends, Panda, who I play with, and he mentioned wanting to try tabletops. So that was really the start of like the tabletop streams. It ended up for, I think that was 6 to 8 months running a Star Wars campaign with Panda and Crest. And slowly over time, we've added more friends, more players.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you moved over to D&D at this point, right?
Yeah, we went through one Star Wars campaign that was me, Panda, and Crest. Then we did a second one that was a different core rule book with Dez added. Then we actually did Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah.
We did Cyberpunk and had a lot of fun with that.
I haven't actually played it. I've read some of the rules. It looks interesting. We do play Shadowrun, which is similar.
So it is very, very similar. Our next campaign is actually going to be Shadowrun.
Oh, what edition?
There's only one right answer.
I think he's just running us through 6th edition.
Oh.
Okay.
Convince him to run 4th.
Kassir's run every single...
Oh, okay.
I think Kassir has the like still sealed first edition Shadowrun
Oh
or
wow.
rulebook.
Yeah, I did a bunch of research on mine when I played a few times. I find fourth edition to be the best, personally.
And
Then
that's
again, I
kind of
haven't
what I
played
like.
sixth, so
Yeah, that's kind of what I like about Kassir is Kassir doesn't tend to run like box standard campaigns. Like she'll sit there and I really like this from fourth edition. I'm going to bring this in. I really like this from third edition.
well, that's cool.
If it doesn't conflict, it's much more homebrew and like personalized for like us as the players
Yeah.
to what
Which is how
we know, what we're good at. Still give us a challenge and learn, but
Yeah.
essentially make it much more player friendly.
Yeah.
well, and which is how like I think the best tabletop is played anyways is homebrew and taking the things that you like from other things and lots of different influence. So have you ever like you were mentioning Star Wars and stuff? Have you played some fifth edition like crossover rules? Like what comes to mind for me is I played like a Mass Effect fifth edition rule set, which was kind of cool. I've also looked. Lord of the Rings has a whole fifth edition rule book they put out, which is really good. There's been a few cool ones like that.
Okay, we haven't done any of those, but I know Kassir has several of them.
Okay.
And that was a talk of what to do after the Shadowrun campaign. Like, what do we want to do? Do we want to try like Mass Effect? Do we want to go back to Star Wars? Do we want to like? That'll be really a lot of group decision. And I have looked at some of those rules, and they definitely do look fun, like really fun to play through. And I want to get to them at some point. It's just
There's so many systems to.
yeah,
Well, and
there's
even
so many
just
systems, so many
50-50
dice,
crossovers.
dice systems, so many crossovers. It's hard to get to everything you want to get to.
No, I'm very much the same boat. I've read way more systems like cover to cover than I've ever run, and probably will keep adding that list much faster than I had to the other one.
I feel that's just like every DM because I've talked to Kassir. Kassir does the same thing. I've talked to some of Kassir's friends that DM their own stuff where Kassir just gets to sit back and role play. They're the same way. Like the DMs just find the systems interesting and they always want to keep learning and reading. Like, is there a better way to do this? Is there something that's going to make this really fun to run?
Yeah, and steal the best parts if you can.
Yeah,
exactly.
If it fits and whatnot.
So what's on your mind, Symyro, around homebrew? Do you think about that stuff ever, or do you just leave that to Kassir?
So we've actually Kassir does what before we start anything, ask us if we have any kind of ideas. Like us as the players will sit there, make our characters well ahead of time, and kind of discuss what kind of campaign we want to run.
Yeah.
Like, do we want to be adventurers? Do we want to be like more guards? Whatever. And Kassir will build the adventure around essentially what we want to do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, if you want to talk about thinking of characters early, me and Alex were talking about like, what are you excited about with your characters and talking while driving, and Alex's words verbatim are just, I'm just really excited for my next character for next campaign. Now that we're getting around level 19 and coming up on 20, it's like ready for the next one.
I know what I'm doing with these characters. I knew what I was doing with these characters 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to this point, I have not thought out a character that much.
Oh yeah.
Most of
neither.
mine have,
What?
and it's kind of been an accident. I haven't gone out of my way to do this, but most of my characters can be boiled down to big brawny guy that hits things.
Yeah,
Two.
I just finished playing Big Brawny Guy that hits things for 2+ years, and I'm playing wizard that hits things, and both of them had a charisma of 8, and I've sworn to never play a low charisma character for at least the next 3 to 5 years.
So yeah, the one I'm running currently in my D&D campaign is actually a druid, and I've actually really been enjoying that. My next character is actually going to be a kind of subversion on the big brawny guy that hits things.
Mhm.
I don't
Okay.
know if any of you guys have ever played Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picture Jackie Wells.
Okay.
I'm essentially going to be doing that like big buff guy that's got like a heart of gold
Right.
and
Right.
is just like can fight, but really just wants
Rather
to.
make love.
Question is, do you have a gypsy girlfriend?
That's to be decided. I mean, we are running Shadowrun, so it's very possible.
You might as well plan who's going to write your obituary, though. No,
somebody,
that's cool.
somebody needs to get a
Members.
tarot deck for sure.
Don't put any random chips in your.
We all know that the only way to run any character in Cyberpunk is with Mantis Blades, and that's final.
And displays are good.
They're so ridiculous. Yeah. Anyways, I have a question for you. I know you're not the DM, but maybe you can give us some insight on this. How do you guys deal with like player conflict or just different directions or disputes at the table, just to keep like your game kosher and going in a good direction? The reason this has come up is like we had a few times through stream we've had things, and we're more of like a talk it out and try to like be role models in D&D, that kind of thing. But it'd be interesting to see how some other people handle this kind of stuff.
So we do try to talk it out during essentially during our streams. We have what is called the red button. If we're ever like in role playing and something starts making someone uncomfortable, red button, and essentially they'll do like Kasira will sit there and do like a dissolve and like move time ahead. We'll talk out after the stream what it was that was making someone uncomfortable, so we can kind of work through that, make sure whatever it was is not something that's going to be happening again. But there are definitely times where, and you get this with a group that's got 5 people. One person wants to do one thing, one person wants to do another thing, and you kind of get that conflict, and then you have usually 2 of us that are part of the group try and come up with like the best of both worlds thing, or
Like a compromise kind of.
yeah, compromise, or hey, we'll do this first, then go do this, or something like that. We don't want there to be, because we're doing this obviously for fun. We don't want there to be any hard feelings. We don't want there to be anyone feel like their ideas are just thrown to the side. We talk out just about everything that we come up with in conflict. Like if there's any kind of conflict, we talk it out either that night or the next day, so nothing nothing affects us.
Yeah, get it rounded off.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Also, we just had Yondu jump in the chat. Runa threw it up on Discord. Hello,
Hi,
Yondu.
Yondu.
You are here. Hello. Yeah, we've been
That was a
having a
good
lovely
ping.
chat with Symyro.
Hola,
I
Yondu.
was like, oh, we should ping someone.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, good job. Good job, Runa. Let people know. Hi, everyone, says Yondu. Hi, Yondu. I also, okay, so I asked you the question of what you're thinking about homebrew-wise. I want to talk about what I was thinking about, too, because I have had this on my head, like, the last 2 days. So this one I have not dived very deep on, but I was thinking about, like, long resting in D&D. And, so where we're at in the campaign is you guys are in a guard tower, hiding inside this fallen city.
Hiding. I think the city is hiding from us.
Trying to get a long rest. And you guys, like real time, basically just had a long rest, hit, like, a trap and a fight, and then are ready for another long rest. And Fate, which is a system I really like, has rules for being able to gain your consequences back. It's like when you hit certain sort of like milestones in the action is when you can roll to like get rid of some of your consequences, which are your resource for staying in the fight. And so it'll be like when you finish an arc of something, you can get back a major consequence. Finish a session, you can get back one of the minor consequences, stuff like that. I'm curious to try to put that in D&D somehow. We played a hardcore D&D where a long rest was a week, which changes the way you think about the game. Like everything's much more drawn out, much more thought out, and I don't really want that level. But I'm interested in trying to see if there's a way I can co-opt like that idea of like progress in game being linked to your resources, so that you don't just have the like, okay, let's pause the action to get our resources back in to jump back in full resource.
Yeah, I think an issue, like if you're gonna dive into long rests, is that they like incentivize players to try and chop up like the interesting things into bite-sized pieces, which you don't have to. Like, what if you just went through the dungeon and had a different way of them get stuff back, or like shorter stuff, right? Like ways to
instead of it being linked to resting.
Yeah, we aren't like, okay, let's go 2 rooms into the cave and then leave the cave and sleep all night, and then go 2 more rooms into the cave.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, because that can definitely drag on. I know we were doing some stuff with D&D where we're going through caves, we hit like large groups of enemies, fight, we're like out of spell slots, and this was early in the campaign. And we had cleared out like an ogre cave that was just kind of blocked off. And we would just, make our way there, do a long rest after 3-4 of these rooms. And that really cuts into the action. Like, you're taking essentially a week in these caves to clear out 5, 6, 7 rooms.
Yeah.
So, as a player who's played in both...
Also, Hive Tyrant showed up. Hi, Hive Tyrant!
Hi,
My
Hive
5K points!
Being a player that's played in both, and just like as an observation, it's an interesting dynamic, and I think it's something to play with, and I think you'd have to change... I don't think, I think the week thing is too long.
Yeah, I agree. Unless you're after that.
Well, but even then, like as a player, so if you go and you make it so that let's just say for example, you only get a long rest once per day, or even just completely abolish long rest, and you get your spells. Everyone gets their spells back on sunrise, and even if you can't see the sunrise is the magical like when it comes back. So you have 24 hours of your spell slots, no matter what, other than like class abilities and stuff. It completely changes how you design a character. I build a character that's now more focused on cantrips and concentration spells and ritual spells, and I'm for that totally. Absolutely. It's just understanding that changing the rules changes. It's going to change your game completely.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to lower your damage potential.
Campaign.
And I think that would be, if I was to be a DM, I think I'd probably do like the whole sunset thing. Because then it's like, okay, you know what, Paladin, blow your load. Blow your 7 spell slots in the first combat of the day, and now you get to run around hitting things normally, and maybe you have a cantrip or something.
Well, I mean, I already basically do link it to sunset, because I only allow 1 long rest a day, which is usually night, which would change nothing if you made it a rule that it was sunrise, because you'll still have the same thing where they'll just find somewhere to hole up and wait till sunrise to get their stuff back. And make sure they've slept enough to not be exhausted. Like that doesn't that rule doesn't really anything.
Well,
I don't know. I haven't thought super into it. Like you said, 7 days is I think too long for what I'm going for.
I don't know. I'm a hoarder when it comes to my character stuff. So I find if it's too hard or like too tedious or inconsistent when I get my stuff back, I just will never use anything cool. I will always use the bare essentials, because what could come next, I don't know. I better be prepared for that.
That's true.
And I end up not liking my guy because I hit with my sword, and that's all I do. So I don't know. There has to be some like balance there. I think.
If I was to look at a balance thing to make it, it would be upping the power of cantrips and making it harder to get spell slots back. And I would probably change things to where I as much as people demonize 4th edition, I like some spells being at will, I like some spells being encounter, and I like some spells being daily. And I think it'd be really that could be easily done with slots or whatever, right? But then it's like, okay, you have this spell once, it's a thing, it's done. You get this per encounter. This is your at will spells. It also, tune up the lower ones, make the other ones harder to get back, make them more impactful. But then you have to balance marshals, and that it just.
Hive Tyrant says technically you can take as many long rests in a day as you want, up to 3, of course. But you only get recovery benefit of the first. Yeah, you sleep however much you want. I'm still only gonna let you rest once.
I want triple my health next
Yeah.
day because I slept all day. Yeah.
No, so Alex, one last thing on this, and then we'll move. On your thing about like hoarding resources, one of the things I like about linking it to progress in the story is that incentivizes you to use them to get yourself over that hurdle. Like if you know you're like get a feeling you should probably be close to like a big fight in this area that kind of rounds out this chapter of the thing, you've got an idea of when you're going to get yourself back and an incentive to get over this hurdle to get your next
that also
refresh.
puts a lot of narrative weight on you to make sure that we understand. Like you have to more railroad plot. Plot
Not
points.
necessarily.
No. So we have an idea when things are coming up.
Yeah.
Right. So if we know, okay, there's gonna be 3 encounters and a boss fight. Like
Well,
find a way
because-
that you can tell that in a way so that it so that it makes sense in the story. So that
Well, you
we're
don't
like,
need to know that exactly.
No,
right?
but-
like
but-
in regular D&D, you don't know exactly when you rest. You don't know if it's going to work. If you're going to, it would be the same. You go by your. Sometimes you do more right than others.
sure. I just think it's still that still puts more narrative weight on the DM.
Yeah.
To
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
also it's you're playing with a thing too. It's like, okay, do I make it, how hard do I make it to get the stuff back, and are my characters having fun not having resources? And that's always the question too. It's like where is the line between making things interesting and making resources a resource and making it where the characters feel like they're just running around with cantrips and swords and not having fun, right? Like that's the fine tuning of it.
That's any. So, you got a question?
I do have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So what's like a favorite D&D moment you've had recently, Sim? Or something that you've enjoyed or just felt very fulfilled or successful in D&D lately?
So
Wait, just to
favorite
pause. I've
D&D.
said, who's the bearded dude sitting there by himself? That's Symyro. That's our guest.
Hi.
Okay, take it away, Sim.
So favorite D&D moment recently. So we have on our team a tiefling wild magic sorcerer,
Okay.
Ooh.
and she rolled on the wild magic table. We're in this mansion fighting a bunch of like a thieves guild, and landed on exactly the right thing that she got on wild magic grow. So she shot up essentially through the roof of the mansion while we're fighting. We're just all like cackling. She like stoops down when we're facing like the actual boss of the Thieves Guild and just takes like a table and just shoves it into him and pins him to a wall with a table. Meanwhile, our DM is cackling because suddenly now there's an 8-meter tall tiefling just running around in this
You gotta
in
do
this
barbarian.
mansion, cracking the floor with every step. And it was just
Your
hilarious when
sorcerer
it
became
happened.
your barbarian.
That's hilarious.
Exactly.
Yeah. B5 where is your crime lord?
No, that's funny.
It was
Very
even
cool.
funnier considering the backstory on this was in town we had found like this other tiefling that was being chased by a mob. We got our way from the mob, and then she was kidnapped. All signs pointed to this thieves guild, and of course, the leader of the thieves guild was part of the mob that was chasing the first tiefling. So like, the evil witch tiefling. Then she just shoots up, and it's like, see, we knew she was an evil witch.
Yeah, yeah. The proof is in the giant. Does anybody else have a favorite moment off the top of their head right now?
I don't know. Last session had a lot of like, I said after session last time, like we had so many like album cover moments.
Yeah, we did.
Runa, like as Yazel, had convinced a nightmare horse to be her riding companion and made a contract with it to feed it her enemies.
So, we ran into a nightmare in the mansion that we were. Yazel immediately was like, "Oh, horsey!" And it's not a horsey. It's a
flaming hair, sharpened teeth, red eyes.
It's a fiend, and which is good. She's a blood hunter. She knows a lot about Fae, fiend, and undead. But she kept bringing it around, and she'd hold it like a baby and be like, "Oh!" And the way she asked it, like the way they got their contract is, "Do you want to eat my enemies?" But it's a full-on fiend. It's a demon.
This was the moment I was going to bring up too, because she now has a pact with a literal outsider god. She has a deal to feed this nightmare enough enemies to keep it around, and then she also has a sentient sword that is helping her turn more draconic. She's just collecting like risky deals.
A favorite
She's the
moment.
warlock of all.
Yeah.
A favorite moment I have from this is from a different campaign. I didn't play with Isaac, but so the spell creation is amazing.
Oh.
And is it creation? I think creation doesn't. It's not concentration, is it?
I could find out.
Yeah, let me know because it's either creation or fabricate, but I think it's creation. I think it's
creation is it is not concentration.
sorry. So then it's
It does take a minute to cast though.
yeah, it's creation. I was lucky. I had a ring of spell storing. So creation, and then what you can do is I basically made a like Sauron's mace from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Think of that, but it fits within a 5-foot square, and it has a door and a little window, and there's a chair inside of it. And I would create that, and then my sorcerer would sit inside of it, and then cast telekinesis on the metal ball spike mace, and fly itself through the air, smashing into things.
Perfect.
And it was a lot of fun. Because he just rolled with it. He's like, okay, so that would be the and he he like added up the damage for it, and that was a lot of fun doing telekinesis, smashing into things. A lot of disguise kit stuff is really cool. If you got somebody that like rolls with disguise kits, they're pretty cool.
Alex, you got something?
I was talking about album cover moments.
Yeah.
We were exiting that mansion where Geisel found her fire horse, and there was this weird black hole, little marble of doom at the top of the room that was like sucking people's souls out. And everyone went in one at a time and failed their save to not get paralyzed and their souls sucked out, except for Lorelei, my cleric, who came in and just like Captain America style in the Winter Soldier was just
Literally tethering people with holy men
Yeah.
to rip them down. Yeah.
What's one that you've had, Isaac?
I was thinking the Yazel with her 3 different packs. That was the one on my mind.
What about you though? Like you're from characters you've played.
Oh, like just a favorite D moment. I mean, this is. Oh, I can't even say it. I can't because some of my players might. So, Symyro, you have any others?
Yes, actually, this was from like it was fun for me how broken this character eventually got. But early in the adventure, like we were in this cantina it was a Star Wars campaign,
Yeah.
and one of the party members pissed off this Wookiee, And if you've never played any of those Star Wars, they have like their own dice system.
Yeah.
Well, me taking, because I knew like we're not beating this Wookiee if they decide they want to fight us.
Yeah.
So I take a shot in the dark and try and charm the Wookiee. I got, I think, 2 successes and 2 triumphs on that. So I charmed the hell out of the Wookiee, and the rest of the table just, I could hear the facepalm. Like, that actually worked.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I love the compilations where they talk about DMs who just let D20s rock roll with anything.
Yeah, yeah.
One of my favorite ones is Brendan Lee Mulligan from Dimension 20, and ghosts weren't real in his world. And then one of the girls is like, I think it was Emily or somebody was talking, and she's like, well, I'm gonna talk to the ghost. He's like, ghosts aren't real. He's like, well, I think it is. Well, roll a d20. Natural 20. And then he built a whole thing, a whole scene, and he's like, now ghosts are a thing in my world, and this is bullshit. It was great. I shout out to, like, no affiliation or anything, but shout out to Brendan Lee Mulligan and what he does.
We love you, Brendan.
With he is my
He's
hero.
awesome.
Never say never. But
we'll tag him on TikTok. We'll make this a TikTok.
He's a hero of mine as well. So, but yeah, that
Man, yeah, I love dynamic world building. Like, it doesn't work in sort of our context where we want the illusion that the world like is pre-existing and not being made up as we play. But I love when we're just like, yeah, as a group of elves, we're gonna kick some goblins off a bridge, and then from then on, like, all elves just hate goblins.
Well,
They're just subhuman, right?
well, and this is a cool thing. So there's so much dynamic world building in D&D that people don't understand. So Mordekainen was a player.
Yep.
Tasha, all of these wizards that they were players that are people that have played characters that were in
Special
like
treatment
old
for
school
wizards.
Gary Gygax's stuff, or people that have played through, and they've just become like things.
Well, and back then you were expected to make your own. There wasn't the spell book. There was a spell
Here's my
book.
old monk.
Gary.
And it got approved as you made one along.
And you
Yeah.
made up spells you had, and you were expected to.
Where's my source book based off of a barbarian player?
Yeah, where's my monk?
Yeah. Why
There-
do
no,
we...
It's
if
only
you were a
wizards.
spellcaster.
Why-
Only
why-
wizards.
Ah, yeah.
No, there
Oh
are-
yeah, all spellcasters are valid.
So
Why
one
are
thing,
only
one thing, you
source
guys
books
you
made
don't
by
know
wizards?
you don't know the source books because
The
there are tons of other characters.
Says the wizard player, like I'd believe anything you say.
Okay.
I've heard says Elminster has made a few appearances in my campaign from time
Elminster.
to time. Yeah.
Oh man, have you read the Elminster books?
I've read.
They're great. He is
mine.
Wizard.
he's one of my favorite watching OP players do things. I'm okay to read Elminster.
Oh
do
yeah.
shit.
Huh, weird how that lines up.
Elminster's great.
So only wizards.
There's a lot of hard feelings at this table specifically.
You know,
on
you
this
guys could
set.
play one.
It'll be a cold day in hell.
When we play a wizard.
Says the warlock blood hunter monk.
What's wrong with that?
I've heard since I read
Exactly.
the Avatar trilogy and post-Avatar book.
Oh yeah. I ask you, Symyro. Do you have any questions for us or anything that you wanted to ask about D&D or things that you were interested in?
I didn't really kind of have anything because I have tried my best to make it to some of your campaigns, but as we've said before, they kind of end up running on the same night, so
Yeah.
I haven't been able to.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, hey, this is an easy plug. You can find us on YouTube. All our episodes end up on there.
Okay, I then can definitely take a
Post our
look.
link tree.
Especially considering I work from home.
Yeah.
Half the time I'm sitting at my computer anyway.
Yeah. Well, we are on there. I'm actually almost caught up. I'm excited. I was like 5, 6, 9, and I'm like, right now.
Yeah, you can listen to about 90% of our episodes.
So I am tossing around the idea, Sim. This is something of maybe doing a session where we take maybe 3 or 4 people from that we've had on as guests or other players or characters from other games and bring them together and have like a 4 or 5 session D&D game. Like just throwing out for example, like me, Alex, and Runa, obviously, and then maybe something like Yondu, or maybe 3 or 4 other people, kind of thing. I try to keep it at 6 probably, so maybe 3 other guests, and just do like a 4-5 session kind of thing. Is
like
something.
a minisode?
Yeah, something that I'd be interested in, and just to get some more flavor and I think it would be cool to bring some of these characters together we've talked to. Yourself being one of them, that kind of thing.
You gotta play somebody named Symyro.
Sure, but play your iconic character. Like if everybody played their character and came
Just
together.
be a sand person.
You know what I mean?
I'd have to track it down somewhere. No, I have the first campaign that I ran on stream with Cress and Panda. I was a sand person.
Have you played a sand
And-
person in any of the
Yes,
Star Wars ones?
So you can play. I think that was Age of Rebellion. That might have either been the starter rulebook or Age of Rebellion. But Tusken Raider is a playable character race in the Star Wars ones, and I ended up like a Brawn 4. And to put this in perspective, a Rancor has a Brawn of 5.
Okay.
A Rancor. Sorry.
A Rancor has a Brawn of 5, and he was Brawn 4.
Jesus. Okay, now just to put some
So-
things on that, when we were playing Knights of the Old Republic, and you go into that room with the Rancor, you can't even fight it. The only way you can kill it is by putting down like 50 mines. It insta kills you.
So there is a way to. I've played hundreds of hours of that game. There is a way to do it where you actually fight it. You can either shoot it from the entrance
Okay.
and stand just far enough back that it runs to you but doesn't like de-aggro,
Yeah.
and you can just shoot it from inside that hallway.
Yeah.
2, you can do what you did and
Mines.
lay down the mines. Or 3, you can stealth up to the corpses there, put a frag grenade, and the pheromones that are on the body you find right outside. Rancor goes and eats it and gets killed.
Yeah, I guess you
See,
could.
that's the intended solution for it.
That's the
Well, we wanted
intended
to kill it.
solution. But I mean, you can sit there. I've done it before. When I was a lot younger, when I actually didn't know about the like how to do the thing with the pheromones and didn't really run stealth. So I essentially just went into solo mode, shot the Rancor to aggro it, then ran back to the hallway, and essentially just had everyone shooting it from in that hallway. The Rancor, if you stand in the right spot, like far enough back, Rancor can't hit you, and you just can wail on it, but it takes forever because that thing's defense is sky high.
I don't know, Sam. That seems more greasy than putting 20 mines on the ground and using the
I
pheromone.
pretty equally weighted. To
I don't know. I'm actually in danger when I have the mines on the
We had to
ground,
sneak
you
in
know?
and place the mines over and over and over again.
This is a very, very.
But I think that's everything we.
That's our
That should
list.
ride.
Yeah, I actually had a thought.
That
So,
should ride.
Okay.
Sim, you've run
That
a
should ride
reasonable
it.
amount, right?
Yeah, I've done a decent amount of campaigns at this point. I think I've had this tabletop stream at this point going just about 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what made me think of this particular line of conversation is lying as a DM. I've had the thought before. Oh my god. It's Lunat. That's from our Saturday home game.
Sorry, did you say you're
Floating
thinking of lying as a DM or do it constantly all
back.
the time?
My
The
thought
lie
was,
was that he thinks about it.
Oh yeah, I
being
get
a
it.
DM is one of the few things you can do with a friend group where you are expressly allowed to lie to your friends and are expected to, and in fact will probably get in trouble if you don't and spoil things. So that what made me think of that was when they asked like, "Oh, what's your favorite moment?" And I had one come to my head. I'm like, "Oh, I can't say that. I'm still lying to people about that. I can't tell them what I enjoy about it."
So, for example, Sim, we don't ask him what the AC of his NPCs are. We just
Oh my
say
God, not this.
what you rolled +1 is the
AC is
AC.
shit.
Yeah, no, AC is bullshit.
Don't listen
It's
to
not worth it. Invest in health because you're gonna get hit.
don't
Oh,
listen
yeah.
to these people.
We
gonna force me to
just kind of
Can't be hit.
we do have like the ACs, but Kisir never actually reveals. We can figure it out based on what's hitting, what's not.
You get to hit things?
Alex.
Yeah. Yes, we get to hit things, especially with
lucky.
my druid and just placing down moonbeam.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break and come back with fewer people on this side of the camera. Just kidding.
It's just gonna be Isaac.
I laugh because I don't want to be hit.
So, Sim, do you have any epic like lies you've carried on for your table before?
I can't say I have. I know as one of the players in my group, Dez, when we were doing our cyberpunk, really kept our character's backstory hidden until I think it was like the final 2 sessions, where like the culmination of everything that we were doing in cyberpunk led to us discovering, more about her character and the tie-in for what the eventual like big bad evil guy for that short campaign was and what they were doing. It all kind of tied together.
Oh, it was like part of her backstory.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was Kisir obviously has us make our backstories, and throughout the adventures that we do, stuff from our past will pop up over time.
Yeah.
And especially with Cyberpunk being much more like mission based.
Yeah.
Because I think we're running Cyberpunk Red rules. It was much more like Cyberpunk 2077 where you have like the fixers send you missions. Well, it was every once in a while we'd get a call from someone in our past or someone we're connected to, and that would be a mission, essentially, is resolving our characters' backstories.
Right.
Which was a lot of fun, and it just so happened that Kisir worked, the character she was playing was called Requiem. Kisir worked Requiem's backstory into the, final mission. So we got to find out everything that she had essentially lied to us about through the entire campaign all at once while still wrapping up the campaign.
Awesome.
Secrets.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
How long has Dre been puppeted by Master Hall now? Like, like longer than Rune has been playing, I think.
Yeah.
I can't speak. I will ask to say if I could speak this one moment, because I think it might be one of the best player moments in D&D history of remembering things and just absolutely executing it flawlessly. It is a Critical Role Season 2. I'll just say the one moment.
No, we don't want to spoil things for people on here, and especially for me.
Yeah.
You're never gonna watch it.
No, I know what you're thinking, and you shouldn't.
Really not. Watch Critical
But
Role.
if Dan
Amazing
saying
show.
that makes you know what it is, and if you've seen it, you know.
If you know.
I'll just
Man,
say
that moment,
I'll just say
though.
2. Because you won't know it. Jester and the Hag. If that doesn't play it enough, then whatever. I will never be able to talk to Isaac about this because he will never watch it. But yeah, 15 years later.
Get your fine.
It's so
Yes,
cute.
that is a very adorable bantha girlfriend for Charlie here.
Aww.
I'm glad I've added a bow.
It's got just a few
little
less
blush
rows
marks.
than your beholder.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna show the beholder.
Yeah, do it.
So many drawings.
So my
It's a good
So
thing you
this
don't
is-
make like lewd art
this is-
because
yeah.
you scroll through your art so often
Yeah.
on stream.
This is my beholder who also has bows.
this one was for this was Hive Tyrant's
I
stream.
think.
Did I have Tyrant?
I don't
or,
think so. I'm pretty sure it was Casters and Castles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either or. Then there's my disco gnome that got finished that I didn't add a bow to. But he
This
does
was-
have a
this
bow
was
band.
for
This
Casters
was
and
this was Casters and Castles. Yeah,
Yeah. I was right.
you were right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yes.
Hive Tyrant, you could have piped out on that one too. I see you in chat. Okay, I want to tell my my favorite about lying to people. So our Saturday game, which is our home game, not stream, started with them as children. I'm trying to say nothing. I know that's the problem, Hive Tyrant. Started with them as children, and their whole characters were wrapped up in like a lot of destiny and prophecy for saving this this island country they were on, and they started underground in a place where they had been like hidden away as part of their like 500-year reincarnation cycle, and things were kind of wrong down there, and they ended up escaping. And part of what helped them escape was this like voice from a ring, which much later in the campaign they eventually tracked down this old man who had kind of been guiding them from the start. And at the very end of the campaign, when he took the like most important items and then turned on them, it was revealed that he had found out where they were hidden, was the leader of the enemies, and had been guiding them along from the back to try and put themselves in to get them to gather the things they needed to unseal the final battle they had at the end. They were victorious, and actually Runa was suspicious of it at the end when he was asking for the items. But
What a
And
dick.
yet, so I was the suspicious one, and yet I'm the one that put them in.
you still gave him, yeah.
Yeah,
But
no,
I
that was.
literally was building this guy from.
I had this like horrible
episode
moment.
1.
Like I had like man, wouldn't it just be the biggest gut punch ever? And then things just kept lining up once I had that thought. Like it was when you didn't let me like figure out what his machine did, where I was like, that's kind of weird. Like I'm pretty good at that. Like I don't even get a okay.
Because the
That's
machine
weird.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's like how can I not understand this? And then I was like, nope, right? Like Harvey, the character I was playing, was so like,
He was like a father figure to you a
yeah,
little bit.
like
yeah.
very much like just this beacon of you can get home, like I can give you what you're looking for that he would never expect or suspect. So I just had to be out of character, like.
Yeah, it was great.
I trust him with all my heart. He would
Yeah.
never.
Harvey was like a tinkerer guy, and so he wanted them to go and get one of the things that he knew where it was, but had to pretend he didn't. So he made this box, this like contraption that was supposed to did a whole show of doing a ritual around it that was supposed to like guide them like a flame in the wind towards it. And Harvey's like, I tinker. Like, how's this machine work? And it's like you can't see any of the internals or how it works because it was just a box with an illusion put on it that would point a certain way. Yeah, that was a 2 year.
That was only.
And he got away.
He did get
No,
away.
yeah, I
Yeah.
got a nat 20 on him and did about 80 damage, and he didn't drop concentration on Holy Aura. So
Yeah.
I'm not bitter.
That's impressive.
was a
I
demigod.
mean,
He
Sim's trying
transitioned
to say.
into a demigod.
Go ahead,
To
Sim.
be fair.
if we're talking end of campaigns, just kind of like for a moment, I just kind of want to talk about broken characters we've made, whether on purpose or by mistake.
Okay.
So the last Star Wars campaign we ran completely accidentally. I didn't even think of it when I was creating it. This was Star Wars Force and Destiny rulebook, so we got to play as actual Jedi. And this
Okay.
character I created, I'm like, oh, I'm going with this. And we got enough levels that I could multi-class, and then there were special abilities that you could get on top of that. Well, the character I ended up building got to attack like 3 times a turn, and a base crit
on that character was plus 40. And the way crits work in that rulebook is every time you've been crit, the next one is plus 10.
Oh.
So we get to the final boss, and my friends still hate me for this. I killed the final boss without them even getting a turn.
No. Symyro.
The
That's
first
dirty.
crit was a plus 90 that
Oh.
really hampered him. And once it was at that level, like it gets like it was like a 90 crit, so it dropped his like defenses. I attacked again, and the next one was just it was like crit number 120 or something, and that's just instant death.
Damn. As Yondu said, damn.
Yeah. So that character was also, like I said, I've played a lot of brawny hit things.
Yeah.
I rolled very well on my creating this character, and he had a base brawn of 3, which, while not super strong, still pretty good.
Yeah.
And the way I got crit at about the halfway point in that adventure, where I had an arm and a leg chopped off. And
Star Wars.
Star Wars. This being Star Wars, you can get cybernetics. Well, if you spend enough credits, you can get cybernetics that buff stats. I buffed brawn.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
So I had a brawn of 5. I misquoted it earlier. Rancor has a brawn of 6 in that.
Okay.
I think a Gamorrean is 5 at base.
Oof.
I was doing a little mental math there. You're like, 3 is not that high. And I'm like, okay, but you one higher.
Yeah,
before.
I misquoted
So that makes more
that
sense.
one. Yeah, I think the Rancor is 6, but with the cybernetics, I was able to bring it up to like 5, and I'm just like, yes, I am good. I hit things and they die.
You're one of those characters that when you're like telling the story after the campaign of what happens, it's like you just wait for time to kill them. Like we'll set the campaign in 100 years.
Yeah,
So that there's not
essentially,
this menace floating around.
essentially, we're not going back to that campaign ever
Yeah.
because that character is like. It's funny to see the level of crit I can get to, but at the same time, it's not really fun for everyone else where I'm attacking 3 times in a row and things are dead before they even get a chance to do anything.
That's what we did with Harvey. Like, Harvey was a sniper who was very good at killing things. And,
Saturday character.
yeah,
Same
yeah,
one.
Saturday character, Harvey, the one betrayed, the one who crit. We did some work on not like making him bad, but making him slower. Because like it's kind of hard to be a sniper who doesn't kill things, but it's also hard to be a sniper who does kill things. So we just made him slower so that there was at least like
Yeah.
some rounds of setup and ways that the bad guys could play around the death funnel.
Yeah. Sometimes the crit damage is crazy. I played a Rune Knight fighter who had a belt of Storm Giant strength and Great Weapon Master. It gets out of hand because you end up doing I was averaging about 120 to 140 damage a round
And this is indeed.
in D&D.
Yeah.
And that's like not critting. That's just my
Base
I had a
damage,
plus
like you're hitting. This is
I had a plus 23 to damage
oof.
on 4 hits per round. I was doing
Well, and
80
a plus like 14 to hit, right?
plus
So-
16 to hit.
Yeah, so it's so easy to
So
hit.
I had a
and
plus
you hit
11
so
with
hard.
Great Weapon Master. If I just hit the attacks, like it was 80. That would have been 92. It's 97 damage if I rolled ones on everything.
Yeah.
For the thing, like it was out of hand.
Well, I made a fantasy craft character.
I grappled a Tarask.
Yeah. I made a
we-
fantasy craft character. We played our first campaign in fantasy craft, and it was my first like tabletop anything. but I'm good at systems. And so, like, after I was playing for a bit, I just started making characters. And I think I dueled... What kind of dragon did I win in a duel against?
Is that the green dragon? The forest?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, it was... We just out of game. I was like, I made a cool character.
Oh, yes!
And yeah, I just 1v1'd a dragon.
Yeah, we were just like, let's see how strong it is, and when 1v1, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, there's some busted characters. Graylin, one of my characters from Fantasy Craft, ended up coming back as a god.
I have co-opted that character and changed its race, and it's now a god in my campaign.
Yeah, it was yeah.
Okay, it's 8:05,
Okay.
so we're gonna wrap up there. Thank you very much for joining us, folks. Symyro, it was lovely to have you on. One last chance to plug your channel if you want.
Yes, if you don't know me, my name is Symyro. You can find me over at twitch.tv/Symyro. I play a variety of games, and I hope to see you there sometime.
Awesome. And we are Adventure Corp. Thank you for coming out, checking us out again. Yeah, come see us on Mondays, Wednesdays, and we once a month do this.
Yeah.
So, thanks, guys.
Okay, folks, that's us. We are. Oh yes. Well, look, this is the finished piece. We've got the lovely heart behind it. Oh, did you put hearts because it's the waifu?
Yeah.
Waifu of Charlie.
Oh.
It's so cute.
Okay, Yondu posted Symyro's Twitch since I'm not mod and can't shout him out. Yes, thank you, Yondu. Much appreciated.
We don't think we have a shout command yet.
I don't think we've added it yet.
It's in there.
But thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take this to the ending soon screen. We're going to run a quick 1-minute ad break, and then we are going to raid somebody if we can find anybody doing that is preferred. But that is us signing off, folks. So have a great night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. All right, let's.